A few cold winds blew the fog around the two strangers drifting far away. Fuese left her hiding place and abandoned the timid, shy appearance of a new employee. The spiritual energy surrounding her body flared up like a fire, causing all the unfortunate demons and low-level demons that accidentally passed through that area to disappear into fog. As soon as Hiroshi turned around, Fuese disappeared from sight. The demon fox relaxed his hands, smiled, and waited. Countless spirit bullets from all directions simultaneously attacked Hiroshi and were destroyed by the thorn whip. The small alley glowed for a moment and then quickly returned to darkness. The subsequent rain of spirit bullets still did not touch a single hair of the fox. As soon as the thorn whip fell, Fuese appeared in the front direction, using his fists and kicks to attack. The fox remained silent, avoiding attacks gently as if sparring with a weak person. Such a good boss, why don't you kill the monster that's raging in this city? Fuese angrily questioned. You came here to investigate that. Hiroshi proactively backed away and quickly ended the meaningless battle. Seeing that Fuese was silent, dissatisfaction clear in her eyes, the fox affirmed. It's pointless to fight right now. I wonder how many more people have died. Fuese, Fuese. After the call echoed all around, the image of Lord Pluto appeared among the gray storm clouds. The fox and Fuese both looked up and listened to what the leader of the dead had to say. I told you not to come to the human world to fight Hiroshi. Your mission is to find and capture the demon responsible for a series of murders in this city. Fuese bowed her head to receive orders. The news that the dead sent a detective to arrest Kaoru made the fox demon's heart burn like fire, because when it was clear that the time the perpetrator committed the crime was repeated like a cycle, it was only a matter of time before Kaoru was arrested. The demon fox on the outside told Fuese to come find him whenever she needed help, but in his heart he had drawn up a plan to get Kaoru out of the dangerous area while avoiding the pursuit of the detective of the death world until the day came. Toxins in the body completely disappear. Hiroshi goes to the nearest murder scene and closely observes every detail. On the path there were only the victim's shoe prints, a small black spot of dried blood stuck to the road surface, and there were absolutely no signs of a struggle. Emerald eyes looked at the walls surrounding the alley. 2 meters is not the ideal height for a weak yokai like Kaoru to be safe after jumping. The demon fox climbed over to the other side of the wall and smiled. A bit of sharpness mixed with implicit confidence showed that the demon fox had reasoned in the right direction. This alley is just a fake crime scene. The crime scene was another wet, dirty and muddy area. The dry soil stains on the green moss said that. Using his sharp sense of smell, Hiroshi followed the scent of blood and toxins to a desolate land, so dense with vegetation that it was impossible to see whether the ground under his feet was a path or a swamp covered by plants. The demon fox carefully took a few more steps, gently pushed aside the layer of vines in front of his eyes, then was stunned by the scene he thought he only saw in extremely bad nightmares. The bodies lying in piles were dyed red by the blood from the bodies hanging upside down on the trees. Kaoru appeared amidst the mist filled with a fishy smell, reaching out to catch every drop of dirty liquid, laughing manically. That scene ignited a fire of anger that caused the demon fox to destroy everything with his own hands with a rain of sharp bamboo leaves. The illusion collapsed and left behind an empty field with a large swamp area. Witnessing with her own eyes the scene of a person who was always calm becoming angry because of an illusion, Fuese still calmly walked forward, looked at the remaining remnants, and connected the fragments into a complete portrait with her own imagination. Blood, hanging upside down bodies dripping with blood, and the savage smile of a man who had lost his humanity clearly appeared in Fuese's mind. Is this your first mission, kid? Hiroshi took the initiative to speak but still did not turn back. Why do you know that? I clearly felt your fear when you saw the illusion just now. The responsibility of a detective of the death world is very heavy, and for people with a high sense of justice, they are easily swayed. Hiroshi slowly explained. As a detective of the dead world, never worship too much or live wholeheartedly for anything. The people you think are enemies, representatives of evil and sin, are sometimes better than the people you are protecting. The feeling of being betrayed by the very things you worship is truly terrible. Lord Pluto once told me the killer was very smart and cautious. He can create fake scenes to distract the police and lure stalkers to death. Fuese stepped forward from behind and slowly explained. I don't know why I immediately thought of you when I heard Lord say that. Is that why you followed and attacked me? Fuese smiled awkwardly and pushed all the blame onto the demon fox Kai of the past. It's said that you have a criminal record. The demon fox looked at the detective of the dead and smiled tolerantly. His gentle features were enough to create a bit of confusion, making Fuese smile carefree and triumphant. Together they walked towards the swamp, picked up a fragment that had not yet disappeared and looked at the memories moving in it. This is a false memory. The person who created it definitely possesses an ability we don't have. Fuese judged. That person intentionally created this to hold us here and have more time to escape. Hiroshi nodded slightly without saying anything more. Memories of the day Kaoru disappeared from the world suddenly returned and were shattered. Looking at Fuese passionately picking up the pieces, looking for the remaining clues at the second scene, her thick black eyelashes pulled down the thin eyelids to partially cover her eyeballs, revealing the gloomy, thoughtful look in the fox's eyes. Waiting for Fuese to get all the things she considered useful, the fox reminded Fuese to leave early and leave the swamp with the female detective. The fact that Fuese appeared just as Hiroshi's investigation was about to have results made him worried. He went to the window, pulled aside the cream-colored curtain, and looked at the old tree on the other side of the transparent glass. The figure of Dango sitting with his back on it, facing the office, appeared and disappeared like smoke. If only Dango were here, finding Kaoru would be much easier. At that time, the demon fox will focus on investigating the true purpose of the detective of the dead. Do you think I would use my evil eye for such nonsense? Dango's annoyed tone and dissatisfied face briefly appeared in his mind. Hiroshi lowered the curtain and smiled. That's right, from the moment Kaoru appeared, Dango openly opposed the demon fox developing feelings for the demon rat. Although it is unclear what Dango's true purpose is, the demon fox knows that everything his teammates do is only for his good. A gentle knock on the door interrupted his thoughts, forcing the fox to hide the worry in his eyes and happily open the door for the outsider. Hiroshi, am I bothering you? Mrs. Yukio gently asked. It seemed like she realized that the emotions displayed on Hiroshi's face were fake. No, what are you worried about, Mom? Mrs. Yukio was not surprised because she was so used to having her beloved son see through all her emotions. Her son has grown up, is independent and understands her since he was a toddler. On the day her husband left this world, Hiroshi became her spiritual fulcrum, always comforting, encouraging and trying to share all his work and emotions with her so that she would not feel alone or lost when she was alone. Matching a partially missing family. Hearing her child repeat the old question, Mrs. Yukio replied, I convinced your stepfather. He agreed to cut down on working hours so that my department could leave early this month. There have been many murders in the city lately, the murderer has not been found yet, and the victims are all young men of the same age as you. I'm really worried. I can protect myself, Mom. But my son is unique. I really can't help but worry. Yes. Hiroshi happily went along to soothe his mother's feelings. I listen to what Mom says. The department reduces working hours, giving Hiroshi more time to investigate murders in the city. There were still corpses thrown in dead-end alleys and soil stains deliberately left by the killer on the wall, irritating the demon fox's ability to reason. Fuese was almost frustrated when she saw everything repeating meaninglessly and did not understand the mud symbols printed on the wall. The detective left the scene slowly, occasionally glancing at the fox. The phone in his coat pocket suddenly rang when the fox demon discovered a new clue. Tateyama called, excitedly announcing, Hiroshi. Hina is gone. I can't feel her demonic aura. The demon fox quickly left the scene and went to the restaurant where Hina worked to inquire, but the owner confirmed that Hina had left a long time ago. At that time, Hina was completely peaceful and healthy. Since Hina's demonic aura suddenly disappeared, Tateyama ran away from school and went all over the city looking for her. He and Higa divided their search into two directions but still had no results. Out of options, Tateyama had no choice but to ask the fox for support. The plants were swayed by demonic energy to rustle and whisper into the fox's ears what they felt. Very soon, The fox spirit was present at the abandoned temple filled with spells. The creepy laughter of the perverts and Hina's terrified scream rang out deafeningly. Hiroshi wanted to enter but was stopped by the magic net created by the spell. Plants that are manipulated cannot enter inside. Out of options, the fox quickly called Tateyama to help. In the temple, Hina was cornered by 4 men. The hoarse and creepy laughter and the talisman in their hands remind them of the time spent living in hell on earth, being tortured from body to mind just to satisfy the greed of the beasts. The cold air on her body did not scare them. Hina could only take steps back and then panic when she realized that the end was behind her. That talisman slowly approached despite the ice and snow demons pleading. When Higa and Tateyama arrived, they both heard screams and saw Hina hastily running away. Tateyama cut off the magic net, taking Hina out of the temple. Higa and Hiroshi rushed in but only saw an empty, deserted space. Hiroshi glanced at the trampled straw and then looked up at the small window with his hand. That space is too small for an adult to escape. The demon fox took another step forward, breaking the rotten wall and then walking to the land behind the wall. Like the first time Kaoru was poisoned, all traces stopped suddenly when approaching an unnamed ancient tree with its roots and leaves hanging. Hiroshi, Higa, you and Tateyama take Hina back to Yame restaurant. It's safer there than at the temple. I have some work to do. Don't you need my help? The dead world sent someone to follow me. Every move I make is within their sights. Hiroshi looked up at the old tree in front of him. His eyes suddenly became cold and extremely quiet. Before all the questions in my heart are cleared up, I don't want you guys to get involved. Don't worry. If I really need help, you guys are still the first people I think of. That cold, determined attitude is reflected in the watching mirror of the dead. The King of Hell frowned and observed for a moment longer, then commented, "Fuese is so careless. Having not yet investigating anything and has already been targeted by Hiroshi. My lord, are you sure the murderer is an accomplice of the demon fox Kai?" Jiro stood next to a desk full of stacks of files, huddled together. It's not exactly complicity, I just suspect there is some relationship between them. You quickly inform Akiko that I do not allow her to come to the human world this time. What she needs to do is help me organize the files. Suddenly losing his job, the tall gray-green little demon pointed at himself and hesitated. What about me? Go down and clean the blood tank. Jiro reluctantly obeyed the order. The King of Hell continued to observe but was startled to no longer see Hiroshi's presence in the abandoned artificial campus. Once again the clue was interrupted. The leader of the dead could only fold his arms across his chest, deep in thought, not knowing that Akiko had returned and was waiting for orders.